chill in there.
His economy and movement is really impressive. But I think what we got to take a look at is the evolution of this player. Drafted by the Oilers, good run in the Western League, comes up to pro hockey, spent some time in the East Coast League, kind of asserted himself then at the AHL level. Comes up, last year kind of in and out of the lineup and up and down. And then this year, unsure what his role is going to be. Well, he comes in and just every task that he's been given, he's done well, right? Like he's Campbell wasn't, kind of ready to go or wasn't, up to his standards. So all of a sudden
Yeah.
he's the guy. He just kept going and kept moving along, makes the all-star team. Then look at some of the games he's won. Like I'm thinking of the game in Boston where it was 2-0. Not a great start by him. He locks it down. They get the win. Tonight, a big game. This is a chance to move into second place in your division against a team that's playing very well. He finds a way to get a shutout. So, it's important for the outcome of the Oilers and what they're trying to do, which is move up in the standings. But for the development of a young goalie, this ice time and these wins and experience, Shocker, are priceless.
Yeah, I mean, he's only been in so many big situations at the NHL level, right? The regular season, I mean, it can really only go so far. So as the end of the regular season is coming and there's standings implications, this was as close to a playoff feel as you're
Yeah.
probably going to get during the regular season, short of maybe some final game of the year for home ice advantage or something like that. So the build-up today was this. The LA Kings have beaten the Oilers twice. The LA Kings have outscored the Oilers. The LA Kings power play is out power played the Oilers. Their penalty kill is out penalty killed the Oilers. Their high-end players have been more productive than the Oilers' high-end players in that matchup. So there was a lot about the LA Kings being this team that, I think Oiler fans kind of fear a little bit. So there was a playoff-style pressure to these games, these LA games that they have left on the season. And what really impressed me was that I thought Skinner did a really good job to make sure he just stayed within his own game. Like he didn't try and do too much at any point. You called it economy of movement. There was a calm confidence about him that kind of belies his rookie status.
It does. And you know what? I think his teammates in front, they feel it. And you do feel when a goalie's kind of, I think, in the zone is maybe a bit overused, but he's just ready to play. And
He
not that
was. He was in the
and,
zone.
and so when there's there was a rebound, he swallowed it up, or the rebound was kicked to a place that was hard to get to, or the Oilers cleaned it up in front. So there was no doubt there was a few mistakes in the game by the Oilers, but you know what? It's a two-way game. Like other teams trying to create things as well. So when that happens, your goalie's there to make a save or to bail you out, and he did tonight. There's been a lot of wins by Stuart Skinner. I believe that was his 10th win in March
Yeah.
that he got, which is incredible. This to me was his best performance when, quite frankly, they needed it the most. So, and I'm not suggesting other games they haven't needed him or he hasn't been at his best, but today, when they needed their goaltending at its height of power, he did a good job. So, a really nice, like I'm going to keep going back to this developmental step for Stuart Skinner, and he keeps on doing it as the year goes on.
I really like the finish to the game too, because although it was a 2-goal lead and you get down into the last minute 30 or so, it's going to take a miracle for LA to get 2 goals. But I like the saves he came up with in the last like 3 minutes of that game. There were some of the tougher saves of the night. And I thought he was really steady in there. There was lots of traffic all around him. But some of his best work came at the most clutch of moments at the end of the game, Struds. It wasn't like they didn't allow anything late. They allowed quite a bit late, and he was so good in those moments.
Yeah, and there's a couple that one rang off the bar, but when Ekholm lost his stick, like that's a tough one there. You're 6-on-5, and now you lose your stick. It's really 6 on kind of 4.5, right? And Ekholm did a pretty good job actually in front. I was a little bit surprised maybe by the people they had out there. It was Draisaitl, Hyman, and McDavid.
Yeah.
And it's not like Hyman takes faceoffs. So, is he the best defensive guy they have? Maybe. Maybe is Bukestad another guy they can put out there because he's bigger, longer. Is Nugent Hopkins another guy? So I thought that was worth noting. It was the two big left shot defensemen, and then the 2 big scorers and Hyman. I'm not saying Hyman's a wrong guy,
Yeah.
but I looked at what does he bring that maybe you don't get from Bukestad or from Nugent Hopkins? And I don't think Kane's probably the guy. I'm not sure if I'm missing anyone else, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of neat to see that at that moment. I know that was your question, but I wanted to
Yeah.
slip that in there when you
No.
weren't watching.
When I wasn't paying attention to you, I
Yeah.
always pay attention to you, Struds.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just ignore you. We beat you up on the YouTube comments a minute ago, so there was a nice one that was just sent in tonight. This one comes in from EM Storm. Struddy was great on TV tonight. Did you feel like you had a good night on TV, Struds? How would you rate your own performance?
You know what I did? I did Oilers TV before and after the game. Then I did the two intermissions with Gene and Bop and Bob.
Wow.
Yeah, big day. And
that's a lot of reps.
Yeah, and then Gregor show before. So this is my fourth time talking about this game, either before, during, or after. And I loved it. Honestly, I did feel pretty good. So we're not here to talk about me. We're talking about a guy who scored 61 goals. But yeah, I did feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. You just simply saying, yeah, I felt good would have sufficed, but I appreciate the level of detail you gave us into how your night went. We have a clip from Stuart Skinner post game as we're going to go to the Weiss Johnson sound box. 45 years they've been in the business. Imagine that. 45 years. A local business, rocking and rolling, providing new furnaces, garage heaters, air conditioners, hot water tanks. They've been doing it for a long time, and they're absolute experts. I know Dennis from Weiss Johnson was at the game tonight. He was texting me, talking about Stuart Skinner's night and how good Stuart Skinner was. He even said there's a word we shall not speak on text. He was talking about the S word. So he was thinking about it as well as everybody else, but I know he enjoyed the game tonight. Weiss Johnson, the place to go, Edmonton's leader when it comes to heating, air conditioning, and plumbing services. Time for Zuby has it. Wow, Zuby fast on the trigger with a Weiss Johnson jingle. Well done. Here's Stuart Skinner.
We were so hungry to win every battle, and I think that was very impressive to watch. Just our guys fight for the puck, every single puck, every one-on-one battle, every scrum in front of the net, just everything. We did a great job boxing guys out, great job coming back into the D zone as forwards, and I mean, just everyone was doing their part and doing their job. And I believe that if we continue to do that, and we do that every game, we always have a chance to win.
So I'm still getting used to Stuart Skinner and the way he does his post-game scrums. So I asked him a question, and I said, you seemed really calm in there tonight. Did you feel like you were in the zone early on in that game? And could you tell? And he goes, thank you.
He's a very nice guy.
He keeps doing it. You'll say something to him about his game, and then before he answers the question, he'll be like, thank you for saying that nice thing about me. Like, he's just so ridiculously polite. And a big game for him, a big confidence-building game. That was a playoff style game, and Stuart Skinner answered the bell. Okay, let's move to the Connor McDavid hit. A lot of discussion about whether that coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda, coulda, would have been a 5. Now, the LA Kings are going to think all day long that needs to be a 5. They lost a valuable defenseman from that hit. Anderson did not return to the game. I'll let you give your opinion first, Struds. Should that have been a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for a hit from behind and not 2 minutes for boarding?
Did you get a sense of what the injury was to him at all?
I feel like it has something to do with his upper torso situation.
Yeah. No,
no, I don't. His head, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I honestly, I actually thought it was a borderline call. If I'm being fair, I thought that Connor let up. I've seen much worse hits from behind that weren't called, and I've seen them done on Oilers players. So
he hit him right in the numbers.
Yeah, but he
dropped him, and the guy left the ice.
Yeah,
borderline call.
Yeah, honestly thought it was. So I think a 2-minute was warranted. Anything past that, I would have been floored. So I don't know. I just see hits from behind all the time, and I don't see them being called. So I think the call was fair in the moment. I don't expect any supplemental discipline or anything like that.
Yeah. Lots of people on the stream here thinking I'm a complete idiot, an asshat here for suggesting that maybe it could have been 5. It was the discussion. We were talking about it in the press box. There was some mention of it on Twitter. I think it's right on the line. And I think when you hit a guy in the numbers and he goes into the boards, Now, it wasn't one of those dangerous one where you go head first and you crumple
Right.
up your shoulders and you're like, oh my
Mhm.
God, they got to get that out of the game. There's a lot of times where guys will make contact and you kind of ride the guy in a little bit, almost
Sure.
like kind of that bear hug. That's not what it was. He hit him and propelled the guy forward. And, Anderson hit the glass and was hurt and left the game. I think the fact that he went down, the fact that he left the game, I think the thought process might have been there for 5 in a game, but I actually give the referees credit because despite the fact the player went down, despite the fact the player, was taken down the tunnel,
Mhm.
they went with their gut instinct, and their gut instinct was that it was a 2-minute call. I believe it was a 2-minute call, but I think I can understand those who say that should have been more. I can't come on this podcast and every radio segment I've ever done and say the league isn't doing enough to get hits from behind out of the game. And by the way, they're not. I can't say that and then say that shouldn't have been a penalty tonight. He hit him right square in the numbers. You can't do that, whether you're Connor McDavid or Vinny Desharnais or anybody.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. But I think that, until that standard is set, it's very difficult because you see guys like, what's the difference between what Connor did? To me, I thought he stood up a little bit taller, then rode him into the corner. But we see people cross-check guys into the corner. D-men do it to forwards, and it's not called. So I agree. I don't like hitting from behind, but I'm just going on what I've seen as a standard throughout the league.
Right.
And I don't think it's aggressiveness. I do think if you hit some from behind, it should be automatic penalty. It shouldn't even be, whether it's a cross-check, intentional, or whatever it is, you should be able to have that as a penalty. But that's not the standard. So I'm just going off what the league is, as what I've seen the league call and not call in the past. And the past is in recent past.
Soft call. I think Anderson probably dealing with concussion issues already is what Yomski's speculating there on the injuries. We go to the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions. I've seen hits like that on the Oilers that weren't called from Jay Chalette, of course. I mean, Oiler fans are always going to remember the ones that they wanted called. Oilers says you got to protect yourself. He stood there waiting for check to happen. I don't agree. He had a puck to play. He had a play to make. When you turn your boards to the player, your back to the player behind you, you need to trust that he's not going to ram you into the boards from behind. And I think when they do it, it needs to be cool. I think that was the right call in the moment. And again, I give the refs credit for not elevating it even further, despite the fact the player went down and ended up getting taken off the ice and down to the locker room. Zuby, I think we have a clip from Connor McDavid post game here. I don't know if you want to cue that one up and fire it.
Yepers.
Oh, you didn't have it ready.
You know what? I thought we were patient all game. We talk about that play in this group. It's going to be a patient game, and they like to make it tough. And obviously, we're comfortable in these games. I think that was a real good message to send, not only to them but to everyone. That we can play that patient game and win.
So that leads us into the conversation about style of play. Let's finish up on McDavid, though, quickly here. Do you think there was some vengeance in that hit, right? Anderson's got that history, that Draisaitl thing, and there was a little bit of that in there. They wanted to make sure they made his night tough tonight.
I know Connor said he's not going out to hurt anybody. And I think if you want to hit someone, hit him straight up. I don't get the sense that Connor has been or will be a guy that hits people from behind.
I agree with that.
If it was someone else, like if it's Evander Kane, oh yeah, I think it might have been intentional. And that's a compliment to Evander Kane. I just don't see that coming from Connor.
Okay, so let's talk about the style of play that was required to win that hockey game tonight. LA, it's a very tactical game. They play this 1-3-1 through the middle where they soup things up and they make it mucky. I thought the Oilers needed to stick to a tactical game plan tonight. And I thought they did a really good job staying patient in a tight game where maybe at times it was frustrating. But I think that the tacticians went to work preparing them for this game and the way they had to play this game. And I think they stuck to it, Struds, and in the end it paid off. What do you think? Am I overthinking the tactics involved?
No. So what does a patient game mean? That means that you have a game plan and you stick to it. So the LA Kings game plan was to jam up the neutral zone and make the Oilers, their rush break against the blue line. That they were set up with 3 guys across the blue line. The Oilers' game plan was to not let that happen, either skate with speed or just chip it behind that line of 3 and go back and get it. It's not the sexiest hockey, but it is a game of wills, because what happens, you're like, oh, I think I got a chance, I can break through. You don't break through, guess what? There's a 2-on-1 or an odd man rush coming back against Oilers. So, patient is a good word. Did they have breakdowns? Yeah, they do, but there's going to be breakdowns. That's why the goalie's there to bail you out, to help you out, as Skinner did tonight. So, You talk about the different type of games, and Jay Woodcroft talked about it. Like the game in Vegas was a shootout, 7-4. You want to play that way? No problem. And then you go to that, fast forward to that game tonight, patient kind of, I know there was lots of shots. I'd love to see the actual scoring chance. I didn't get a chance to look at. I don't think they would reflect about how many shots they had. But a 2-0 win in kind of a patient game. Also, Oilers could play a physical game. You want to be physical? No problem. The Oilers showed up today, very physical. So that's 3 different styles of games. Now they can blend in with each other. They kind of the lines get a little blurred, but they played 3 different ways in the last 2 games and beat 2 divisional opponents in, I would say, convincing fashion.
Convincing for sure, man. Yeah. I mean, you beat this team 2-0. So here's the thing though. They give up 42 shots. So how do we feel they played defensively tonight? Because on a night where you give up 42 shots, but you don't give up any goals and your goaltender plays great. Okay. Did the Kings get goalied tonight? I don't think they did. I actually think the Oilers played them pretty well. I'll switch over to natural stat trick here. And the advanced metrics show just in terms of quality of shots and where they came from, the Oilers expected goals for percentage are almost 60%. So based on where the shots came from and the quality of those shots based on location, the danger of them, the Oilers had the advantage tonight, and that's at even strength. I don't think the Kings just got goalied tonight, Struddy.
No, the Skinner had a good game, but I think, at least when I played, we used to talk, I think we say 8 to 12 chances against is what you want to give up, right? And I would be hard pressed to say that the Kings had like 8 to 12 scoring chances, like really scoring. They had a lot of shots, but how many times do we see a point shot and Skinner just sucked up the rebound? Or, I'm thinking of off a rush, kind of a wide shot that Skinner just picked off. Like just off the top of my head, I can probably think of 8 to 10 shots that were not like, this is not disrespectful to Skinner, but they were easy saves. But then there were some tougher ones, and there was a crossbar, but the other team's going to get chances. I think that, and even at times I'm guilty of it, where you want to play perfect. Well, you're not going to be perfect. Could you do without maybe the breakaway? Yeah, I think that's something you'd probably like to see not happen, but there are going to be chances again. So I think the Oilers did a good job in limiting the really good chances for the Kings. And again, I'm just going off the top of my head. I don't think that they got, I would be surprised if it was more than 10, 12, like real scoring chances against.
How about the goal from Connor McDavid? They put him out there on the penalty kill, and that's got to get, I mean, everyone's going to see that highlight. That's got to get in everybody's head, man. And when you're trying to run a power play and you're like, okay, let's get her going, and you got McDavid floating around there. If you want to move it east to west at all, you got to be so damn careful with Connor McDavid lurking around out there. That has to get into the heads of the guys running the power play. And then not only does he make the steal, but his little shimmy shake to get through 2 guys. And then the other thing too about that, Struds, he created so much separation. He looked back over his shoulder and was like, I'm going to pretend this is a shootout. And he pulled out his shootout move on the breakaway that he needs more time for.
So I'll admit I was wrong. I didn't want to see Connor in the penalty kill for a couple of reasons. One, just to kind of limit his minutes a little bit. And then 2, just always a risk of injury with a block shot. And I'm not suggesting he's on shade because he is. He can play those minutes, but just the wear and tear of those extra minutes and then keeping other guys in the game. Well, Jay's found a way to work him into the games. Into the penalty kill. And it does, you're out there, it does change the look of it a little bit when the penalty kill, when you got a guy that quick and he has a good stick. Like, let's just talk defensively. He's got a pretty good stick and he kind of has it out in the right direction. So he takes this chance, and poor Arvidsson is just poor guy was just standing still.
Yeah.
And there's no way he's catching him from that. And then McDavid, that was a huge goal for the Oilers. 16 minutes to go in the second period. And he scores a shorthanded goal. I'm not saying that the game was over, but
massive.
You can feel that it's going to be a low scoring game, or you could sense that as the game's, through that first period. So the Oilers score a late one in the first, and they score an early one in the second. That's a pretty tough night for the Kings, especially without their leading scorer, Fiala, out of the game.
Leon Draisaitl. That pass he made, ho-hum, just another little backhand flick of the wrist. It's getting to be so every day with this guy that he makes plays on his backhand that are all world, unbelievable plays. And the way he saw that, executed that, I don't know, Struds, like we just keep talking about it. We're looking for different ways to describe it. It was a freaking unbelievable pass.
Really nice pass. So it was amazing. I think what he did is he knows where he is on the ice. Lots of hockey IQ, or high hockey IQ, and when he throws into an area where he thinks Kane's going to be, right around the hash marks, right, and then Kane, you saw he kind of had to speed up to take that shot, and so he's putting where he thinks Kane is, and I love that play. But I want to give credit to Yamamoto, a guy who's been kicked around a little bit by Edmonton fans, and he gets that puck and he attacks with full speed the blue line. That pushes the Kings back, specifically Drew Doughty. Puck's kicked out to Draisaitl, and Yamamoto keeps skating because he attacks the net. That opens up the area where Draisaitl eventually puts the puck. Now, nice. I know Yamamoto gets a point on an assist, but I don't believe this goal does not happen without Yamamoto doing that. And I love that. It's so subtle, and you're not going to be like, oh my God, a second assist, incredible. It is dwarfed by what Draisaitl did, but in importance, I believe it isn't. Skill, maybe, but not importance on that play for sure.
He can make plays. That's why the skill guys want to play with him, Struds. The play rarely dies on his stick off the rush or coming out of the corner. That's where he makes things happen, where other guys with maybe a little bit less skill who have different, or they're bigger or something like that, Yamamoto's ability to dig pucks out and then make a quality play or to keep the play alive, that's why guys want to play with him, man, because every time the whistle goes and an offensive zone, entry ends, it's like, the skill. They want guys that can make plays. And I like that you pointed out Yamamoto on such a high skill play from Leon Draisaitl. Honorable mentions tonight. I'm going to go. I thought Darnell Nurse had a really good game. I think Darnell Nurse's game is coming on. I thought there were tons of subtle, really nice plays in Nurse's game tonight, Struds. He gets piled on a lot, and I think we probably need to put the brakes on that. He's been good for a little bit here.
Yeah, and just squeezing out plays, like squeaking out or snuffing out, right? He's got that stick, and he was aggressive. I thought you're right, and I was watching him specifically. He made a bunch of really nice plays, and the problem sometimes for Darnell is that he snuffs out plays so early, no one realized that there was danger if he doesn't do it at that time. So Darnell had a good game, and he and Ekholm continue to kind of be a formidable duo on pair one and pair two.
Omar makes a nice point. He says the problem with Yamo is not that the play dies with him. It's that his finish is not good enough. And I think that's a really fair point. He can make plays with those skill guys, but in terms of the percentages of high danger chances that he executes on that you should when you're playing with those guys, it'd be a real good thing for them if that came up a little bit and he was able to hit on a few more of those high quality chances. Interesting comment here on the Twitter feed from Shane Can America. We're going to get to Evander Kane in our takeaways in just a sec. Honorable mentioned, Kenny Holland is a genius. Now, we're not going to overdo it here, but I was having a discussion in the press box tonight with another member of the media. In the big picture, you see what the Oilers have in their roster heading towards the playoffs here, and what it looked like when Ken Holland arrived here. Like Struds, they took a chance on Evander Kane. It's been a home run. Zach Hyman does a deal that has been fantastic since the moment he signed it. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, exceptional deal. Second pairing on the blue line completely falls out from underneath him in Larson and Klefbom. He takes a year or so to do some patchwork with some guys, Keith and such, and it wasn't all perfect. And then he pulls off this Ekholm trade. The Campbell thing, we'll see where it goes, but they bet on Skinner and it's worked. Like, he has made some core moves to the core of this group that have turned them into one of the deeper, more dangerous teams out there. And then there's the depth stuff. Bukestad, Janmark. He's just added good players. So it's not popular to say in town, but I don't give a shit. Ken Holland has done an excellent job putting together a really good team here. I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs, but I think he deserves a lot of credit for just how good and deep this team is.
Patience. He's a patient guy, right? And he had a plan. I go back to that first day. He said, I wanted to build it brick by brick. He said, there's not one trade that's going to change this whole team. You just keep trying to improve, So let's just look. What I've really noticed with this team is their size. Since the start of the season, the players that have come up that weren't on the team to start, Klim Kostin traded for big, heavy player that can score. Janmark came up. Now, he's not huge, but he's big. Now, I know he's signing, but whatever. Darren A comes up, has an impact for this team. Trade for Ekholm, big body. Bukestad, big body. You average those guys out, what are we talking? 6'3"? Average size is 6'3", and they're all contributing and playing. Other than Ekholm, they're probably all more depth players.
Yeah.
But those are important depth players they have. Depth players they have. And I've been an advocate of Kenny Holland. I like the way he did it. And when he went all in, if you think trading Reed Schaefer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Reed Schaefer.
Good player.
And a first rounder for Ekholm's all in, which I think it is. But that's a problem. They've made a trade that solves a problem long term, that Ekholm's around for a number of years. So,
yeah.
He did a good job, and even like the little tidbit of Bukestad getting him for $450,000. They're paying him this year. Like, they maxed out this thing. Now, what's going to happen in the playoffs? I'm not sure, but they've been positioned in a good spot to take a run at it, and hopefully being a bully in a specific division.
My son Kai has jumped onto the
to
the YouTube stream here.
Yeah,
he's I don't know. He's gonna start chirping me here
about your sweater.
He complimented me on my sweater.
Oh, geez,
he actually said to me, "You're dressing younger these days."
He probably has a matching one. You guys, that's your Christmas PJs, Kyle.
It's Kai. If anybody has any questions for Kai on the YouTube stream, go ahead. He's on there right now taking your questions. My son, Kai Rashog. Okay, that was the breakdown brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Let's get to takeaways. And takeaways is brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC. They're the #1 GMC dealership in all of North America for 5 consecutive years. It's the big, awesome dealership just off Baseline Road on the way into Sherwood Park. It's a fantastic looking showroom too. So here's the thing about Sherwood Buick GMC. They have stock. So if you want to go there and actually have a chance to test drive a vehicle, chances are they're going to be able to get you into something. They've got a great used inventory as well. One of the biggest ones in the city. So whatever kind of deal you're looking to make, chances are Phil and the crew over at Sherwood Buick GMC are going to be able to help get you sorted out. Just off Baseline Road on the way into Sherwood Park. We'll have to get a jingle going for Sherwood Buick GMC. We need a jingle for all of the sponsors here on the pod because it's just such a natural fit to go into the jingle. You want to try and make one up right now, Struds?
I have to work. Something? No, I need a lot of time to warm up the organ. I've told you this before.
The organ?
That's what you call your voice. In the business, we call it the organ. Struds.
You never talk again about warming up your organ on this podcast, ever. Okay. That is off limits from now.
I'm trying to be detailed and professional. So you do it your way, I'll do it my way.
Warming up my organ.
Ask it true. Like
my God.
Luciano Pavarotti would call it the organ. Okay. Now, maybe it was a different word in Italian, but in English, it translates directly.
All right.
To the organ.
Well, you can warm up your organ when the podcast is done. Takeaways is going to be Evander Kane. So Evander Kane recognizing moments. Evander Kane recognizing the game against Vegas is a big moment. So what does he do? He gets 11 flipping shots on net. This is a big game against LA. 3 scraps in the third period last game against LA, right? There's a rivalry building here. What does he do? Comes out and throws 7 hits in the first period. Stoff pointed that out in the post-game press conference tonight. So Evander Kane recognizing the moments, the difference of that Oiler team with him in there and him not in there. And as Jay Woodcroft said after the game, there's not a lot of miles on that chassis. He's warming up at the right time, and it's the right kind of player to be injecting into the veins of this team.
Kaner's game, I think, is rounding into form right now. He's always been known as a big game player, and these last 2, he's shown at the level that he can play at. The good news is there's not a lot of miles on that chassis this year. He's just kind of rounding into form at the right time of year, and we need him.
Zuby sneaking in a clip there. I was not planning for that, but nice job on the ball, Zuby. Struddy, your thoughts on Kane's last 2 games and what it means in the big picture?
Well, he's a huge part of this team. I mean, look at the series against Calgary, what he did and the energy he brings. And he brings a swagger to this group. And you can see it when he's out there. He skates around. He thinks he's the baddest ass on that ice. And he can score, hit, do whatever that he wants out there. And that brings swagger to the rest of the team. That emboldens guys like Darnay and Costin and all these other guys. Well, Nurse doesn't really need that, but it's nice to have a friend that's doing the same thing. But, Connor and Leon, these guys, they understand the moment. But I think having another guy on there that's not afraid of the moment. I don't think there's a moment that Kane is afraid of. He thinks he can do anything at any time. We saw it, the way he hit Kadri, in that what was it, the third round? He just launched him in there, and I said it before, he lit up a cigarette and skated off, and was like, "Did what? Is that a penalty? I can't. Are you serious? That's a penalty." Like he brings that swagger, and he's unpredictable. And I think that's really important when you're playing against a team, especially in today's NHL, where there's a guy out there who's so unpredictable. It keeps you on your toes. And then you mesh that with his skill, mesh that with the guys he's playing with. I like him really. Now I think he's beside Draisaitl. I like those two together. So, he's a huge element to this team, and I agree. I think he's just starting to get better, and pretty crazy. I would have thought he had 9-10 goals. He's got 15. He's quite a bit of time, but he's got 15 goals in whatever number of games he's played this year. He's missed a ton.
Zuby, how long have we gone on the live stream here? The way we're doing this, I don't have a timer running. I have no idea. Are we like 30, 40? What are we at?
Pushing 40, just shy of 40.
Pushing 40. Okay. Good. Yeah. Good to know. Got to keep track of things. Can't go too late. I got a comment here that said Struds is blinking at a rate that tells me he's ready for bed. That was from tickets. Are you tired tonight, Struds, or how you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good. There have been podcasts where it's happened, but I'm like, why do I'm buzzing? I got to go read. I got a Jerry Seinfeld book I'm reading. It's pretty funny, actually. So.
You're reading the Seinfeld book? So I downloaded that. I downloaded the audio version of that.
Who reads it? Him?
He reads it.
Oh, that'd be funny. Yeah, it's good.
I love reading books. I don't like reading books, but I love it when somebody famous who writes an autobiography, which is which, anyways, has a book. And they narrate it themselves. I'm all about that. I love listening to audiobooks on walks and stuff like that. And he's actually pretty good narrating it. It's good.
Well, they say geniuses actually read books.
Yeah. But listening to it counts as reading one. That counts.
Do you also watch videos of people working out?
You asshole. That was solid. That was solid. That's good work, man.
That better be a clip. That better be on a clip, Zoom, because I'm on fire tonight. Anyone else have they want to say about my jacket?
Oh, man.
There's some funny guys now.
Oh, man. That was good. You also watch videos of people working out. I've had this debate, actually, with brothers and family. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, yeah, I've read that book. Yeah. And they'll be like, they look at me sideways, and they're like, have you read that book? Well, I'm not to say, oh, I listened to that book. I have every right to say in conversation, I've read that book if I listened to it.
No, you don't. Because if you felt you were proud of it, you'd say, I listened to that book. No one ever says I listened to that book in a book club. You get together, you, me, and Zub have a book club. Oh, I listened to that on what? What'd you do? No, I didn't read it. You got to read it. You got to hold it in your hands. Feel that.
No bullshit. If you're part of a book club, you would be okay listening to the audio version.
I wouldn't be. You're not earning it. You're not earning it.
Seriously? Is anybody on the stream in a book club? And if you are, if someone came and had listened to it as opposed to read it, would it cause an issue within the group? I think that is perfectly fine. Really?
You would, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. You're probably the kind of guy who shovels his snow onto his neighbor's driveway. You're fine with it.
That's not the same person. The guy who listens to the book and says he read it is not the shovel. No, I don't think that one's fair.
I guess this Seinfeld book is the first book in the Got Your Back book club. You guys are already I got to catch up here if we're going to make this happen.
No, don't worry. He'll send you the cassette so you can listen to it.
I listened to Berkey's book. I think Jason Bourne over at Sportsnet, I think he narrated his own book too. I love listening to books. I read every day for work. I can't relax and read. I like to just listen. Yeah. And I think I can still say I read 25 books last year.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, I can see. It's like saying you watched all 3 Lord of the Rings trilogy and you read the books. That's basically what you're doing.
That's different.
No, it's the same thing. Why? You know the story, the basic. What's the difference between that and listen to on tape? It's the same thing.
There you go.
Corners.
DZ25 says, got your book. That's funny. I've read many books with my ears, says Super Kenny Mac. I'm not sure who's siding with who. Cassette Struds. What else on the stream? If you listen to a book, say I listened to the audio book. Stop shoveling snow on your neighbor's driveway. Steve Kenny agrees with you.
Thank you, Steve.
Book club equals boomer alert. I don't even know what that means, which is probably a sign that I am big time boomer.
It means we're old.
Is that what it means, Zuby?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't know that book clubs were dead, but maybe book clubs are dead. I don't know.
Oh. Well, listen, the stream's coming off the rails, so I don't know. We should probably shut her down here, Struddy. I think we've squeezed anything of value that's left out of you tonight, or do you got anything else you want to add?
No, I've been on fire. Honestly, I've had a great evening, and everyone, you're welcome.
It's been a pleasure, Struds, really. Like, it's been so good. Sometimes just everything coming up Struds today, hey?
It does. This
everything coming up Struds.
This must be what it's like to watch like Picasso paint. Like it was just perfection.
Us listening to you tonight. You're comparing that to watching Picasso painting.
A couple days off, and it's just like, I'm fresh as a daisy.
Commando Pisani says we want a 24-hour stream. Well, we wish we could do that for you. Just a day in the life of Struds. Okay, Struds, honest question. In the grand scheme of broadcasting and broadcasters and your place in that world and the job you feel you're doing, which is obviously very good, you feel you're doing, would you say you were a higher end hockey player or a higher end broadcaster?
Oh man, I think I was a better hockey player, but I'm a funnier broadcaster.
I don't know. You're a pretty funny player too, man.
Yeah.
That helmet gave a lot of people a lot of laughs over all those years.
Yeah. No, I have so much respect for members of the media and the way they do just perfection. It is beautiful. I give them a hard time, but it is elite. I would never compare myself to pretty much everyone above me.
All right.
Were you funny on the ice, Struds? Did you crack the refs up? No.
No, not really. I didn't say much on the ice. At least I don't remember saying much.
You were too competitive. You didn't want to be nice to other players. You didn't want to make them feel welcome. You wanted to scare people and be a dick. That was your jam out there.
And you know what, Zub, to be honest, I enjoyed making other people feel bad. Like I love slashing, and I loved all of that. Like I don't know. I don't miss it now, and I don't regret any of it I did. In fact, I wish I would have done more to be suspended a couple of times. I think it would have helped my game. But no, I loved just being mean, and I wanted people to think I was mean.
Ryan, Shoggy, you're the bad boy of this pod tonight. I might have to mark this one as not for kids because I think I'm going to have to put the bleep button.
Oh, jeez.
No, you're okay. You're okay on the bleep. I mean, yeah, I try and keep it a little bit G-rated, but you're okay. You're okay on that. I think on the pod we can be a little bit looser. But yes, fair enough. Thank you.
The Christmas PJ threw you off your game.
Yeah. Okay, Zuby, roll that beautiful theme music that we love. Let's hear that piano.
Okay, yeah, where are we?
You got it ready?
Oh.
But I got the ads queued. We're going to give some love to the sponsors here.
Oh, we got the Mr. Dirk ad queued?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do our goodbyes, and then please stick around and watch a great ad that we have for Mr. Dirk.
I love it.
By the way, we switched our music this year. Zuby, you picked this.
That's right. Out of about how many attempts? I was sending you like 3, 4, 5 tracks a day. And you were like,
no.
Negative Nelly.
I was a no guy.
And we found this one like the day before we were starting the other pod. Like I was like, this one, I think. And you were like, yeah, right away. You said yes. You were like, yep, that's the one.
Yeah. Sherry Frazzy says, love the jingle. I disagree. I watched Struds play and comedy always ensued. Oh, a late chirp there coming in from Obelisk.
Oh, yeah.
Struds, you go to bed feeling good about yourself today, man.
Going to be feel very good. Then watch that video of someone working out tomorrow morning, buddy. Burn those calories.
All right. Sounds good. You get ready to sing the song and warm up that organ, pal.
I will.
All right. Have a good night, boys. Thanks so much to our sponsors, Mr. Dirk, DLR Vinyl Products, Sherwood Buick GMC, and of course, Weiss Johnson as well. We really appreciate everyone that hopped onto the stream with us here tonight. We love interacting with you guys. And girls, this has been tons of fun. We're going to keep doing it. We got big plans for the playoffs. So there's more Got Your Back coming at you, playoff edition. We're only getting bigger and hopefully better. So stay with us. Keep an eye on our feeds. Thanks so much for joining us. And here, a message from our title sponsor, Mr. Dirk. Joined now by Sterling Dirk, right inside the beautiful store over at Mr. Dirk. Sterling, time for a little rapid fire. You up for it?
I'm ready. Here we go.
All right, true or false? You took on title sponsorship of this podcast for the sole purpose of fixing Jason Strudwick's mess.
True. His wife came begging for help.
It's going to be a long, beautiful relationship. It's going to take us a while, pal. All right, true or false? If someone's frustrated looking at their wardrobe, doesn't like their options, it's immediately $1,500 to make any change.
False. You start with one item, you build it up. It's like anything in life. You just need to kind of start placing those pieces and then adding more and more, but it doesn't need to happen all at once.
True or false? Suits are the main thing that Mr. Dirk offers.
False. Actually, we carry a wide array of product from jeans, shoes, socks, underwear, t-shirts, casual wear. I mean, we specialize in tailoring, but we are head to toe for all of our clients from weekend to regular everyday office.
Great stuff. Check out the shop just off White Avenue at 102nd Street. And for all their stock, visit them online, mrdirk.com. Thanks, Sterling. I'll see you soon, buddy. I'm due.
We'll see you soon.
Hey, Struddy, question for you. Have you ever tried putting in your own fence?
I sure have. Between digging the posts, mixing up cement and digging the holes, is absolute killer.
It's brutal on the back. Well, listen, what if I told you you could put in a fence without having to dig a hole or mix any concrete?
I'd be much more likely to come over and help you out.
Yeah, well, you're not the first guy I would call, but thank you for that. Listen, my brother's company, DLR Vinyl Products, they've come up with a system where you can actually put high-quality vinyl fence in the ground without having to dig a hole, without having to mix any concrete. They can teach do-it-yourselfers how to do it, and they can also work with contractors who might be looking to start installing vinyl. It's super high-quality product. The great thing about it is that it has fantastic longevity. You put it in, you don't have to worry about staining or sanding or anything like that. I've been lucky enough, Struddy. They put in multiple fences in my different yards and they built me 3 decks. I have totally abused the fact that my family is in the fencing and decking business, but it's great product. Give Rob a call in Calgary or Rick a call here in Edmonton. This is a company my dad started. It's a family business. I'm super proud of it. That's DLR Vinyl Products in Edmonton and Calgary.